En caso de emergencia, la universidad cuenta con instalaciones seguras y equipos de detección. Además, contamos con brigadas de protección civil capacitadas para atender las emergencias. Las salidas de emergencia están debidamente señalizadas: gimnasio, auditorio, cafetería, comedor y lobby del IDIT. En una emergencia en la que se requiera una evacuación, conserva la calma y sigue las instrucciones de los brigadistas. Sigue la ruta de evacuación. Te llevará a una zona más segura. Dirígete al punto de reunión, sin empujar, sin correr ni gritar. Atiende las indicaciones de las brigadas de protección civil. Ellos te apoyarán en todo momento. Ahora que ya sabes lo que se debe hacer, mantente tranquilo, toma decisiones responsables, muestra calma, respeto y solidaridad. Ibero Puebla, comprometida con tu seguridad.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third day of Fab Blast. Well, FAB24, but the second day of Fab Blast. So today I'm going to be the presenter of the day. I'll tell you my story at the end of the hour, so stay tuned to hear my story. And I want to introduce our first speaker of the morning, who will be the first lineup of Fab Labs. So this is Emilio Vélez from El Salvador, and he'll have a little presentation of cell surgical materials database. So welcome to the stage, Emilio.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks so much. I'm going to talk a little bit about a project that Apropedia is helping run. We have a wiki for sustainability, appropriate technology, and international development. And one of the most interesting projects we've been doing for quite a few years is surgical training. We have done this work now through SELF. It was originally funded by Intuitive Foundation, an organization from California. They ran this big competition with a $1 million prize to find the best surgical training, simulators, and materials that could be used anywhere in the world and be developed at a low cost. So 2 teams split the prize in the end. And since then, some really cool things have happened. The grand prize winner from Ethiopia is now using the module for doing laparoscopy in different parts of Africa. And then the West African College of Surgeons actually is using it as a mandatory resource for all of their surgical trainees. And then the other one, which is an orthopedic simulator for broken bones, it has been since used for a Mars mission, a simulation on how can you train astronauts in Mars to learn how to treat a broken bone without any guidance, right? So all of these were used using the content that's available on Apropedia for free, and you can build yourself. And there's many more courses, simulators that you can find on Apropedia. And since then, we have started working on this new initiative that is part of a bigger community of practice called SELF, the Surgical Education Learners Forum. And it comprises different hospitals, research centers, and organizations. So the idea of this is to have new ways of collaborating with different groups of people, technicians, clinical experts, researchers, to make surgical training cheaper. And then the part that Apropedia is working on, so we're building on top of our wiki a surgical materials database. So what is this for? Well, basically, Someone might want to perform a specific training. It could be laparoscopy. It could be something for infants. And the engineers or makers in a Fab Lab or a makerspace need to know about the materials that are needed for simulating the right fidelity type of the tissue. Right? So we are looking everywhere for submissions from people who have done this in the past. And then we are basically building this big library for people to use for free. And you can see here an example of the two things that are needed. First is this task deconstruction. That is, what are the activities that the surgeon has to perform? And then the second one, what are the fidelity requirements? And these can be visual, for example, what is the color of a tissue? How does it feel when you touch it? And to be very specific to a certain type of practice that is being performed on it, an action, for example, it could be cutting, it can be drilling. So depending on what you're going to do with it, we are trying to find not the perfect fidelity, but the appropriate fidelity. Right? What is the exact level of fidelity that is needed for a learner to gain feedback and to perform a procedure? So we've been working on this, and we are now on the phase of entering the first submissions from our previous the competition, the Global Surgical Training Challenge. And here you can see an example of a tissue page that is a muscle, right? So muscle. What do we need to know about it? How do people use it? We will have information about what are the specific types of fidelity that are needed, and then how they have been simulated using different materials. And as well, the materials, what material properties are in relation to surgical training. So we hope that we have people from makerspaces and Fab Labs using this in the future in collaboration with people from anywhere in the world to bring down the cost of surgical training. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. We're back again. And I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Luna, and I'll be your presenter for the day. And now we're going to introduce an internet personality with over 2 million followers in YouTube. And he is Ricardo Muñoz, our next presenter, who will do a small talk in Spanish. So if you need live translation, get it.
It would be in English.
You're going to do it in English. Great. So entendiendo el proceso creativo para poder crear nuevas cosas. So understanding the creative process to create new things. So welcome to the stage, Ricardo.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you. This is going to be a really short presentation. I'm pretty sure you're going to hear that a lot today. So what I want to show you is what I learned from the internet, from creating videos. Okay, my channel is called Nothing to Do, but I'm also an engineer. I'm certified by Microsoft and Google, so I've been working in technology for many years. So you have to know, and I'm sorry for my presentation is in Spanish, and I sent the English version in the last minute. So our brains have thalassophobia. Thalassophobia is the fear of not doing anything, okay? If you don't get enough stimuli, you will get bored. And if you stop receiving stimuli, you will even have hallucinations, okay? So our brains always want to be excited, okay? There's this experiment that I'm pretty sure that you already know, where they put men and women in a white room, and they seated them with this red button, and they said to them, like, you have 15 minutes, you will do nothing, but if you have the urge or if you get bored, you can press the button. If you don't press the button, you will get $10, but if you press the button, you will get a shock, electric shock, okay? So 95 men weren't able to last. They pressed the button, and they rather received the electric shocks. And the women lasted, well, 85% of women did it, so women tend to be more relentless on this. So that's a good example. Let me put another one. So what I want to tell you is these things are a really good place to share information, but also to distract our minds so we stop being creative, okay? So take this in mind. Our mind, as I said before, has thalassophobia, so it always needs to have information. But what I'm here to tell you is that you have to get bored, okay? Boredom leads us to create new things, to see the world around us, okay? So that's very important. Whenever you feel the urge to put out your phone, and I don't know, if you're in the market or in the bank, and you have that urge, please take a minute, put it back, and see the world around you. Maybe you can help somebody. Maybe you will meet somebody. So I think that's very important, and that's the way we can be more creative, okay? The creatures that get bored ended up doing more. I like this example where the old cavemans were seated in their caves, and it was pouring, raining, and they have these relámpagos, how do you say that? Storm, electric storm. So one hit a tree, and one other tree fall in another. And they saw that, and they say, wow, we can build something out of that. Okay? So we are standing in the shoulders of other men, you know? I think that's really important. So the boredom is like thirst or like hunger. We crave that. And that's the force that pushes us to do something, okay? Well, this is my father. I always do this. This is like a homage for him because he taught me how to build and do stuff and never feel bored. He used to tell me stories like dads always do that. Like, I used to walk 15 kilometers to get to my school. Well, he told me this story when he was young that he built these cars made out of wood with rollers as tires, and he used it. He didn't have enough money, so he had a baseball cap and football globes to protect him. And I never believed him, but I found this picture in the memories of our house, and I said, "Wow, my dad was really a really cool guy, you know, intrepid." He built this Columbia spaceship for me when I was born. And he built our camping trucks out of almost rotten trucks. So there they are. We used to have two. You can see them back there. And well, for getting ahead, this is what I want to talk with you. This is an idea popularized by Kirby Ferguson. I don't know if you ever heard of this. For me, it's the most incredible way to improve our creative process. So we have to copy as much as you can, because that's the way we learn, okay? And then you start to transforming. For example, with music, you copy your artist, you copy your teacher, and then you start to like some sort of, or some kinds of musics, so you start to transform it. So it sounds different, and you create like a new, like the same song, but with different sounds. Do you know what that is called? How do we call the songs that somebody else plays? Cover, exactly, yeah. And then I like, I don't know, rock and mariachi and hard rock, and then I combine that, and I create the latest music that is like corridos, ¿cómo se llaman estos? Corridos tumbados.
Ricardo,
yeah? So you create something new.
We're running out of time. So.
Okay, so please, I will just leave you with this. Everybody wants to create something new without copying ideas, okay? But I'm going to jump on this. Please see that this guy, Van Gogh, copied like almost 27 of his most famous works. These guys do. But that's the best thing that they could do, because they take something from somebody and make it better. And those are the persons that we know. So that's the better thing that they could do. I'm not telling that you make plagiarism. No, that's a completely different thing. So what I want to leave you, if you read 100 books, I'm pretty sure that you're going to throw up at least one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo, for what an inspirational talk. Now we're going to continue with another speaker of today that is going to talk to us about being a maker on the times of COVID, so remembering that times. So with that, I want to introduce to the stage Esteban Campos.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Buenos días.
We're almost there.
It's not working?
No, we're almost there. There
Okay.
you go.
First thing first, I'm Esteban Campos. I work at Fab Lab Catrare. We're a small Fab Lab located in Costa Rica, specifically in San Jose, at the Distance State University. This is our space. Notice something weird? Of course, we don't have a slot on our lab. I'm just using the Costa Rican cliche just to trick you into visit us. During this 10 years of making fabrication, we have been developing projects in areas such as biodiversity, sport orthoses for football players in Costa Rica, and surgical planning. This story that I'm going to tell you starts with this post that we got on our Facebook about one of these projects that says, congratulations, it is easy to make toys, but make a functional product, an economically possible product, it's on another level. So, of course, we were very happy to read this, but we want to take our work to another level. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy making toys. I really enjoy a good LED art installation, but we wanted to go further with our work. So in 2020, COVID hits, and we saw this as an opportunity to make things happen. So the first thing that we have to accept is that we are not todólogos. I don't know if here in Mexico we use this word. Yes? Okay, for those who doesn't speak Spanish, todólogo means the person who knows everything. And we know that that person doesn't exist. So we try to repeat and repeat this mantra so we can get the help that we always need. So we start work, we called Jorge Oviedo, which is the dental surgeon that we have been developing projects on surgical planning, for example, bone scaffolds for doctors to implant on people, and a project on an open protocol for dental students to print their own parts with cheap 3D printers in their own homes. So with Jorge, we came to with the idea of fabricating these mechanical ventilation helmets. I don't know if you have seen one of these? No? Okay, these helmets help the patients, the COVID patient, with her breath. And we developed this project with 4 main group of people. First, our university. We work as a Fab Lab with the General Services Office, which is the office that makes things done at our university. We work, of course, with the dean and other co-workers. Second, the society. We have plenty of volunteers. We have a lot of women who took their sewing machines to our lab and help us sew these straps. so keep the helmet on the patient's head. And private companies. We work with a company called CAS. This company developed silicon parts. So we developed this specific silicon circle to keep the helmet in the head of the patient so the air can escape the helmet, sorry. And of course, we have to work with government allies, such as our Ministry of Health, the Social Security System, and medical guilds. So that's how we end up donating 260 helmets to hospitals all over Costa Rica. And three important milestones of this project is that we are the first university in Costa Rica to got the permission to produce medical devices. Thank you. It sounds weird. Besides, Costa Rican universities do a lot of research. They don't produce medical devices. So we are the first one, and we got the first medical device registered by university in Costa Rica. I forgot to show you the pic in the presentation, but also we found out that medical staff in hospitals don't have any idea of how digital fabrication technologies can help their works. So we are developing right now a pilot of an audiovisual, a video series to teach them how can they use these tools, how can they reach the lab and make their own projects.
One minute.
Sorry? Okay.
1 minute.
Okay. Okay, last but not least, if you want to know more about our helmet, we have one. If you want to talk about other projects on this or other topics, and of course, if you want to go visit us and work in a place full of palm trees and volcanoes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Esteban. And now we're gonna talk about the faculty participation in Fab Labs. So this is gonna be an interesting talk. So I wanna introduce to the stage Jake Wighel.
Buenos dias. Buenos dias. So the Warrior Fab Lab is one of Fab Labs located in the California State University system. San State is one of the smallest of the 23 system schools. And the Fab Lab was created in officially 2023. So within the last year and a half, we've had over 800 unique Stan State student users out of about 10,000. So we're about 8% student users at that point. I participated in the Fab All-In this last spring, which was a great forum for looking at Fab Labs as tools for innovation, cultural innovation. And the problem of practice that I looked at was specifically using faculty as a leverage point within the system that's resistant to change. So faculty can really be influential, involving a broad group of students, but as well as putting pressure on administration. I'm also in the doctorate program in educational leadership, and so what I'm working towards is a design study for this as well. So we've been collecting data since we opened. What we're looking at here is there's 4 colleges at CSU Stanislaus. This shows the breakdown with the largest number of student and faculty users being in the College of Art, Humanities, and Social Science, and then followed by College of Science, College of Education and Social Work, and then the College of Business Administration. Some of the other interesting stats that we have, 68% women users, we have 67% Latinx users. We are a Hispanic serving institution. For that purpose, we also had 41 faculty unique users come through the Fab Lab and use it for either research or courses already. So that's about 7% of our faculty population. So what we're really learning is that we've established kind of a baseline that matches within 1 or 2% of our overall student demographic population of 10,000. So one of the things that we first did in establishing the Fab Lab was creating a instructional resource for our faculty and students. So everything is run through our Canvas learning management system. This also allows us to provide these kind of resources for community partners, such as our community colleges in the area. But that's not enough. So some of the other things that were developed out of the Fab All-In were surveys that looked at what are the challenges that faculty find to using the Fab Lab or to be innovative on campus. Also, what kind of things would they like to see in the Fab Lab? Another thing that we've created are lab hours, which is essentially an office, open office hour times where faculty can come in, discuss what kind of capabilities we have in the Fab Lab, project ideas, and really embracing the interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary ideas that we can develop. We've also developed learning communities. These are roughly 8-week or half a semester long courses that the faculty come in as groups from different departments. We give them a general overview of the Fab Lab, talk to them about how they can develop projects for their classes, and they leave that faculty learning community with some kind of assignment or project that they can use in a course. We're piloting, I have my colleague here, Dr. Adam Devitt, we're piloting a STEM-focused faculty learning community this fall as well. With my colleague, we've also developed a Maker and Innovative Pedagogy Certificate for K-12 teachers and administrators for the region, looking at how we can use the Fab Lab as a mediator space and bringing about more maker education in the region. The student assistants in the Warrior Fab Lab create workshops. They've run over 100 workshops already. They develop those, they teach those. They have students, staff, and faculty in the university in those workshops. I've created specific workshops for faculty. The big hit that we piloted last semester was 3D printing for any workshop or for any class workshop. We had 25 participants from 20 different departments go through this. As part of the workshop, they all developed a class assignment that used 3D printing in some way. And we are working on workshops that also include mesh editing and 3D scanning to kind of bring a full circle of how to develop some kind of a model and then be able to 3D print it. So this image is an electron model that chemistry faculty created for their class for students.
1 minute.
The other big thing in getting faculty involved in the cool thing about Fab Labs is being able to identify regional specific initiatives. And so one thing that came out recently was Stanislaus County used the Brookings Institute to study what kind of economy initiatives could be developed. And they located this area as being the #1 for circular bioeconomy in the country. So what we're now working with is a consortium including Berkeley Lab, UC Merced, and then Beam Circular, which is a nonprofit that came out of the Stanislaus County. Stan State is the third higher institution of learning that will be in this consortium, and we're focusing on that education for the region and building innovative capacity, specifically with the Fab Lab. So I'm running a workshop on Friday that looks at developing circular bioeconomy curriculum, specifically with a Fab Lab. Would love for anybody to join that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. And now we're going to move to a different topic. We're going to move to the topic of sustainability. And for that, I want to introduce to the stage Andreas Kopp with How to Start a Repair Cafe. Welcome to the stage, Andreas.
Okay, 1 second. Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias, todos y todas. I'm going to talk a little bit about repair cafes, how to start a repair cafe almost everywhere And
Andreas,
first
sorry,
question.
sorry, Andreas. Could you move a little bit to the center of the stage?
Here.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay, I have to. So again, I'm talking about repair cafes, how to start one everywhere. My name is Andreas. I'm from Germany, from Munich. I founded the non-profit Kindergarten Foundation. First question, who has ever heard about a repair cafe in this? Many people? Yeah, very good, very good. You can't see it, but many people. And who has already done a repair cafe in their lab? I see one over here, okay. Perfect. So I'm going to throw some sweets over you here. Wait a second. Wait a second. Text. Text here, text. And one over here. Okay. We have more sweets here. Oh, there, here. German sweets. So I'm using all my time up for the. Okay. So next slide. I will go on. So it's a very quick presentation. What I'm doing wrong here? Oh yeah. Okay. So this is a repair cafe. It's a place where you come together and try to fix things. It's completely free, so you bring it, and it's not like a service, so you have to participate. It's not, sometimes it can happen that the elderly person doesn't have the capability or doesn't want to, so it's okay if the person, the volunteers are helping them or do it for them. But it can be computers, bicycles, clothing, everything the group that does the repair cafe is capable of doing. Yeah, we can read it on Wikipedia. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our repair cafe in Munich. We do it every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 4. And we have repaired now over maybe 300 things. And it's the usual setting. If you can see there are people on a table. The person that over the equipment, for example, there's a mixer on the bottom. There's a kitchen machine. I don't know what it is. And maybe this is a electric toothbrush. It's a common object because the batteries are not easily interchangeable. It's easy for a person that can solder, but it's not so easy for a person that cannot solder. So you just buy one, and then we help you to exchange that. And next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. This is like what we have in Germany. There's over 1,000 repair cafes in Germany. There's a website for us that is run by a non-profit Anstiftung, and there's a little bit help, like the Fab Lab network. And there's a schedule. You see, like every day, there's like on a Thursday, 21 repair cafes, for example. Next slide, please. Yeah, so that's actually the main thing of my talk. What you need for a repair cafe? It's coffee and cake, sweets. You can also offer sweets. You need a place and tools. Some tools, you know, and what do you think it's missing? Is something missing? Can anybody know what's missing? People, exactly. The next slide, please. You need the people, okay, the people. This is the group maybe 1 year ago we have in Munich. It's mostly so retired people. It's the big group in the repair cafe community. There's 2 early retirees and 3 retirees there, okay? Next slide, please. This is why repair cafe. I just put in yesterday on ChatGPT what are the benefits of repair cafe, okay? This you can also do it yourself. The things that I learned is extra things is it creates a dopamine for the people, so it's cool. You have a feeling of success. And also it's good for elderly men's health. I recently read a study about that. People need a place to do something. So next slide, please. I'm almost finished. Upcoming events in Munich. If you're in Munich on the 12th and 13th of October, there's a meetup 10 years repair cafe in Germany in the German Museum. great museum. Ever be in Munich, go there. And 18th October, everybody can do a Repair Cafe International Repair Day. Next slide, please. Okay, here I have a Repair Cafe starting group. So I leave it up a little bit so you can all scan it on WhatsApp. I also put it in the group. And at 12:30, we meet up here at the sign and have a lunch together. And have a dessert, get a German sweet. And then you can share your experiences of your repair cafes, or if you're into this more, what tools and all these extra things that you might want to know. Last slide is just my contacts. And yeah, thank you very much. Next slide is my contacts. Yeah, here can, as my contact details, my website, and everything. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Andreas.
The sweets.
And from repairing cafe shops, we're going to go now to alignment in SDGs. So with that, I want to introduce to the stage Peter van der Heij and Victor Fraudet, right? Am I saying that right, Victor? No, you're not looking in the right side, Victor. Victor, in the stage. I'm here. Can't you see me?
Sorry?
Yeah. Jump on the stage, please.
Okay,
Come and meet me.
Show which SDGs are important for you, Fab Lab. You can do that via our workshop format or fill in our form directly. This is how you put your Fab Lab on the map. So yesterday I talked about awareness about the SDGs. Today about alignment with the SDGs. Okay, the next. It's always, yes, number 2. At the Fab Lab conference in Chile in 2017, we organized our first workshop on SDGs. The next day, the Gershenfeld brothers gave a preview of their Designing Reality book. In it, they indicated that the implementation of the SDGs was not possible without Fab Labs, and conversely, that the world expects Fab Labs to have a social impact. Self-expression is not enough. So we were convinced that we were on the right track with our attention to the SDGs. Here you will see the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, both in Spanish and English. And from our workshop in Chile, we learned that 17 goals is a little bit too much for a Fab Lab. It would be better if each Fab Lab focused on a few goals, its own Fab Lab SDG profile.
Okay. Puede estar el traductor, aunque hay traducción, pero bueno. En la conferencia FAB en Chile del 2017, organizamos nuestro primer taller sobre los ODS. Al día siguiente, los hermanos Gershenfeld dieron un adelanto de su libro Designing Reality. En él indicaron que la implementación de los ODS no era posible sin los Fab Labs, y a la inversa, que el mundo espera que los Fab Labs tengan un impacto social. La autoexpresión no es suficiente. Estábamos convencidos de que estábamos en el camino correcto con nuestra atención a los ODS. Aquí podrás ver los 17 Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible, tanto en español como en inglés. En nuestro taller en Chile aprendimos que 17 goles es demasiado. Sería mejor si cada Fab Lab se centrara en unos pocos objetivos, su propio perfil de ODS de Fab Lab.
We developed a workshop format with which local Fab Labs could get started. During such a workshop, a Fab Lab determines which 2, 3 or 4 SDGs suit them best. They record why they have chosen these 4. They examine how they can adjust their existing activities in the direction of these SDGs and what that means for their place in the Fab Lab network. Our working group went to collect all those Fab Lab SDG profiles, more than 500 today.
Desarrollamos un formato de taller con el que los Fab Labs locales podrían comenzar. Durante un taller de este tipo, un laboratorio determina que 2 a 4 ODS se adaptan mejor a ellos. Registran por qué han elegido estos 4, examinan cómo pueden ajustar sus actividades existentes en la dirección de esos ODS y qué significa eso para su lugar en la red Fab Lab. Nuestro grupo de trabajo fue a recopilar todos esos perfiles ODS de Fab Lab.
As an example, we use our host, Fab Lab Puebla. Their profile is 4, 8, 9, 10. We created the graphic overview with the interactive program Mind Manager. But as the number of profiles increased, this would mean a lot of manual work. We therefore wanted to see our drawing program as a machine which we could control, just like other machines, with a script in some code. So we came up with a simple programming language of just 6 statements and wrote an interpreter that could run within Mind Manager and interpret our script line by line. That worked. For our flagship product, the global overview of Fab Lab SDG profiles, we use data from fablabs.io and a number of other sources in addition to our profiles. We produce a script of 26,000 lines via Jupyter Notebook, which our drawing program then uses for an hour or so to make the drawing. Impossible to do that as a human being.
Como ejemplo, usamos nuestro anfitrión Fab Lab Puebla. Su perfil es del ODS 4, 8, 9 y 10. Creamos la descripción gráfica con el programa interactivo Mind Manager. A medida que aumenta el número de perfiles, esto significaría mucho trabajo manual. Por lo tanto, queríamos ver nuestro programa de dibujo como una máquina que pudiéramos controlar, al igual otras máquinas con un script en algún código. Entonces se nos ocurrió un lenguaje de programación simple de solo 6 declaraciones y escribimos un intérprete que podría ejecutarse dentro de Mind Manager e interpretar nuestro script línea por línea. Eso funciona. Para nuestro producto estrella, la descripción global de los perfiles de Fab Lab SDG, utilizamos datos de fablabs.io y otras fuentes además de nuestros perfiles. Producimos un guión de 26.000 líneas a través de Jupyter Notebook que luego nuestro programa de dibujo utiliza durante 1 hora. Por supuesto, es imposible realizar esas 28.000 acciones como ser humano.
1 minute.
Oh. We can now create all kind of overviews. It was well, let's skip this one. These are the peers of Fab Lab Puebla, so the other Fab Labs in the world which have exactly the same profile. Interesting to connect them together. 5 in total in this case. Can you?
It's a lot. No, but actually, what do you want?
Yeah. Well.
Say it in English. It's okay.
Okay. Then I go to the next one. We connect with many other interesting sources. So from the Mexico note in our overview, you can immediately jump into this picture, but it is not a picture. It is an interactive dashboard on its own. So you can drill down for every of the goals. What is the situation in Mexico, and how can we? What are the pain points? I skip a few because it is only 1 minute. Okay. Do you have no profile yet? You can read here that you can follow 2 methods. The solid method, organize a workshop and fill in the form, but you can also skip the workshop for this moment and fill in the form directly. And to stimulate you, we have at this moment a promotional campaign. Submit your profile finally, then you receive an SDG wheel pin this week. You should claim it yourself. If you are the first Fab Lab from your country with a profile during this week, then you will also receive an SDG flag. More to know about FAB and data. This afternoon there is a workshop, hands-on workshop, the quest for the data workbench. And this was a special request from some of the people in the audience, a photo moment. You can make a picture of this slide to have a lot of useful links. But there is always our landing page where you can find them all as well. Thank you, Victor.
Okay, bueno, gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor and Peter. So please come and join their workshop in the afternoon. And now, from SDGs, we're also being in a talk that it's promoting cultivating an inclusive environment for fabrication. So I want to introduce to the stage Adam Devitt.
Hola, buenos dias todos. Thank you for having me. Wrong one. There we go. All right, so I am an associate professor of science education in a teacher education department at California State University. I'm also a coordinator of an early childhood education program. And our school is located in Central California, in Turlock, and it's noted by that big red dot on the screen. And one important thing to notice is that when most people think about California, think about like Los Angeles or San Francisco or the Silicon Valley that's being very STEM-oriented. But in fact, the Central Valley tends to be more of a STEM desert, and a term that I heard yesterday floating around was a fabrication desert, and that pretty much describes much of the central component of California. So something we're working on in our fabrication lab that, Jake, I'm working at the same school that Jake Weigel presented about a couple slides ago. Another role that I wear is the director of maker pedagogy and PK-12 outreach. Another important part is that I'm a former elementary special education teacher. So, I always consider issues in education, and I ground them in my experiences as someone who taught, young children or children with disabilities. And so I'm always thinking about common issues and problems, and those relate to how we think about, or systematically in education, that often STEM is thought about more for older children in middle and high school, and that younger students tend to only get education in literacy and math. Students with disabilities tend to focus or learn only basic mechanics. They learn through memorization or basic content. Often technology and things like fabrication are left out of the classroom because many teachers or even administrators believe that they might cause behavior issues, or kids aren't going to be trusted to use fabrication tools. And another issue related to educators is that typically for elementary teachers, they're not well trained in technology or using technology tools. And many of them are even lack confidence in their science knowledge. And this is more of relating to my own personal context, particularly in California and the US. And so you might think to yourself about what are issues that relate to your STEM education and your context around the world. So I am very fortunate at the university where I teach a science methods course or a science pedagogy course for future elementary teachers. And given my position in the fabrication lab, I actually teach my course in the Fab Lab. And so I do have a unique opportunity to reconsider possible solutions for integrating fabrication and STEM more with my future elementary teachers to help them build their confidence, their experience, with the goal that they're actually going to bring that to their future classrooms. So some questions I like to think about are, how do we bring a maker pedagogy into fabrication labs or maker spaces so that everyone has access, they feel welcome, and they can build a sense of belonging? And as an educational space for teaching and learning, like how do teaching and learning roles change from traditional roles in the classroom? Like more specifically, like how do we think about the material or the technology tools as they become part of the teacher in the classroom? And then more from like an educator perspective, how do we as teachers, or how do I prepare teachers to be more reflective and think about their bias, their awareness of barriers to equity, so that they can reshape their own future teaching and and be aware of their own social dispositions and how that shapes and formulates their teaching. So I don't really have solutions yet that I'm presenting in this Fab Blast, but what I do is I really want to advertise and invite you to some of my, two of my presentations that are coming up on Friday. The first is really to share my experiences and an educational model for how I work at integrating fabrication in my science pedagogy course. And second is an invitation to the international community to really come out and help me think more deeply about what a maker pedagogy could look like, or ought to look like, or has the possibility to look like when thinking about it for bringing in issues of equity and inclusion. So I hope to see some of you there on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And I want to introduce to the stage Antonio de Jesus Anaya Hernandez, who will speak to us today about worldwide Fab Labs and their work as social integration communities for valuable groups.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Is there any slides, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Just hang in.
Okay. So I have some slides, but they are not here for some reason. But yeah. So I just, in 30 seconds, introduce myself. I'm from Chiapas in the state of Mexico. Sorry, in the country of Mexico. You know a little bit of the hardship of Chiapas with the challenge community that was here. And in 2021, I have a scholarship, and I moved to France to attend the FAB Academy in AgriLab, where I met Luc, and I have in my hands a project with the idea of help local cattle producers to try to detect diseases early, so they don't have to use antibiotics in an extensive way in their productions.
Okay, we have your video ready. Do you want to go?
Okay, nice. From there, I moved to France, and then I have the chance to learn a lot of things that were, but I was still unsatisfied with my experience. So I found a way to go to Iraq, to the north of Iraq, to the Kurdistan region, to open a makerspace there. And so my motivations were like, if I would like to settle a Fab Lab in my place, I need to go learn to do it somewhere else. So I have more constraints, more conditions to be more challenging for me, so I will learn better. And thanks to that experience, I also have the chance to go to the US and talk to the State Department and the Congress about the importance of Fab Labs and how Fab Labs are important for the people that's migrating to other countries, and the importance of them as a social integration community. So for you, I have a message is to be aware that you have more than just a Fab Lab. You have a place where people will come for solutions, for the local places, and for hope to learn better and to get better in their life conditions. So that's my message for you. And the other message I would like to give you is that a small action, like being mentoring for a makerspace in other country, can have a huge impact over time. And this happened in 2021. In 2023, this makerspace received funding from the German Innovation Office, and now they have a plastic recycling facility there. And now I'm part of other networks, and this experience I have is part of the research for the European Union to use Fab Labs to receive immigration as a gift and skills to find their first jobs in their new resident countries. So another recommendation is try to engage with the local migration offices in your countries, try to get funding, and try to help people to engage and get a job, because there is a huge difference when there is people that comes and it doesn't get integrated in the community, and Fab Labs can have a hand on that, helping to make it easier for everyone to have a peaceful community everywhere. And so that's my message for you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the scholarship for the FAB Academy.
Thank you, Antonio, for those incredible inspirational words. And now we're going to have a talk related to connecting to the Internet of Production. So I want to introduce to the stage Andrew Lamb.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. I have a question.
Yes.
Are those painful? They look really painful going up inside you like that. Those two
No, they're
rods
really nice. I like them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you can relax when you wear them.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's quite hard to follow a few sessions that we've heard this morning about people making surgical training devices and getting certifications for it, and all this training, and then people throwing sweets out and the inspirational stories about makers moving around the world. And some of what I've got to say isn't news to you, because you are already at the forefront of reimagining how manufacturing and production will be done, in my opinion. My name's Andrew. I'm the chair of the Internet of Production Alliance, which is a group of organizations that are trying to find ways to distribute and decentralize manufacturing, to bring manufacturing into the age of the internet, and to be able to, well, not to put too fine a point in it, put more money into your pockets than into the pockets of big manufacturers with enormous carbon-intensive, very fragile, international globalized supply chains. So we saw, of course, in the pandemic about the problems of supply chains, but what we're trying to do is a new, fresh approach of open networks of local manufacturers being able to compete with imports, being able to move from mass production to production by the masses, a term that you might be familiar with from Gandhi. And I think Fab Labs and makerspaces can be the hubs of this new network, because you know, makers need a place to use machines. Makers need a place to learn. Learning is really important for quality. If you're going to get into mass production, if you're going to get into selling things like medical devices to hospitals, you're going to need a place that does quality control. And I think makerspaces have a role in that in the future. So we have an alliance. You've heard from Apropedia already this morning. There's groups like Gearbox, which is a Fab Lab. Wikifactory has presented at these conferences before. The Global Innovation Gathering, I know there's quite a few members of the Global Innovation Gathering here. We have programs around communities. We develop standards and we share knowledge. And we've got a few data standards, and I'm going to basically tell you quickly now about how to use them. So the first one, and there's QR codes here, but I'm not sure if they'll come out. So I'm going to repeat the important QR codes at the end of the presentation. So if it doesn't work now, you'll get the important ones at the end. We've developed a standard for trying to exchange information about the skills of makers. Many makerspaces, many educational facilities have ways of accrediting. You've heard one, you know, in one of these Fab Blasts. Have ways of assessing the skills of makers and maker educators. We have a specification for sharing those skills, and we have what we're calling a maker passport. It will not help you with immigration, I'm sorry, but it might help you move from one Fab Lab to the next without having to do all the retraining, and it indicates to the rest of the world what your skills are, so that as an indicator of the quality of the work that you might produce. We are trying to map all of the world's machines. Not just where all the Fab Labs are, not just where all the factories are, but all of the world's machines. If we can create an understanding of where manufacturing capabilities exist in the world, and if we can have really good documentation, we can figure out what can be made where, and then by who, with the people and skills standard. So we have some use cases. At the moment, a lot of the big focus is in disaster response, but we're also doing trials of distributed manufacturing for economic development in Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. And if you want to add, well, the QR code there is for the map. This is some data we collected from one of our projects, which you'll be hearing about on Friday from me, called the Make Project. And you can go and basically find where all the facilities are, where all the machines are in the project countries. If you want to add your machines in your Fab Lab to the map, there's a QR code there, there's a form, you can fill it in, and you can basically, then appear on the world's map of machines. We're trialing lots of different ways to collect this data, including working through manufacturers of machines.
1 minute.
Thank you. It's the first time I've been told off by a cat. The contracting system. We are interested in taking large orders and with smart contracts distributing them across networks of massive numbers of small manufacturers and makers. We are doing some trials of this year, and if you'd like to be part of it, please join. There's a QR code there, and we'd like to hear a little bit more about your distributed manufacturing processes if you're doing it. Members of your Fab Lab all clubbing together to make large numbers of things. Here's the most important QR codes. What we're trying to do is introduce a new paradigm of production with places like makerspaces and Fab Labs at the hub of local networks of manufacturers. And we're really trying to experiment with that. We'd like you to be involved in those experiments. I do lots of fundraising, so if there are particular initiatives in your country, I was talking with someone from Indonesia yesterday, where we could fundraise together, I'm open to that. Here's my email address. Let's stay in touch. We have a community forum, and thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
By the way, I'm not a cat, I'm a jaguar. So with that, we're gonna, this is so interesting. So I have tocaya, I don't know how you say that in English. But I want to introduce to the stage to one that has my name as a last name. My name is Luna, and she is Camila Luna, so I'm really excited about that. So I want to introduce Camila on Beyond the Classroom, Innovating STEAM Learning with Moonmakers. So welcome to the stage, Camila and Diego Luna. Yes, there's another. Come to the stage. You'll find another microphone here on the main stage.
You look great.
Hi, Luna, Camila. Well, I'm Luna. You're Camila. Okay, good.
So hello, good morning to everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear you perfectly. We are really glad to be here. I think I want to start saying thank you to all the FAB24 organizer to invite us and give us the opportunity to share what we do, and that we are really excited. So, my name is Camila.
My name is Diego, and we are the co-founders of
Moonmakers. Thank you. This is an educational non-profit in which we create experience and resources for educators, teachers, self-learners around the world.
And we have had the opportunity to work with the leaders of the technology and education around the world to push the limits of the learning and education.
Yeah, some of them are right now on the screen. For example, Arduino Education,
Microbit, Educational Foundation, Raspberry Pi, Science Friday.
Yeah, also one of my favorites is Sesame Street because we promote the tech world for more girls. So electronics, robotics, coding, which is something really important.
Also with the Make Community to create and design specific projects to promote the innovation and creativity for creators, educators, teachers, and people who can learn, design and make and impart the first Maker Camp in Spanish.
Yeah, actually we are from Mexico, so we love to do content in both languages so more people can get close to this. And other stuff like workshops through all Mexico with Secretary of Education in Jalisco or the Cultural Center of Spain. And more of that, not just about worship and teaching, but also sharing with more kids and schools and universities, even here in Mexico. For example, with Fundación Televisa, Fundación Telefónica, Fundación CONACYT, making content from schools and universities around Mexico.
We believe that technology is a powerful tool for kids and teachers.
Yeah, we believe that if we bring digital fabrication to kids and these tools and innovative resources, there's like an open up world for them to explore and to create and obviously to learn, right?
Yeah, and they not only learn STEAM concepts, also develop important skills like critical thinking, creativity, and also problem solving. This is something very important for the kids, to have the power in his hands to do something.
Yeah, and one of our favorite things, what we do this type of resources is project-based learning. We think it's a great approach to make complex concepts much easier for them to understand and for them to actually show interest to these concepts, right? For example, there's a funny little project that we make, and we combine the digital world with the physical one. We believe when it comes to tech, we don't need to just stay behind a computer. We need to move and we need to interact with it.
Yeah, I think the best option to learn maths to the kids is interact with his body. He can move it, and he can see how this movement of his hands, he can identify with fraction in maths. Also, the pizza. I think every kid in Mexico or in other parts of the world identify the pizza, because I was just in the movies.
So it's a great way to just bring a snack to school, eat pizza, and then learn. Other thing really important for us is make this connection between technology that is using in the real world to solve solutions. So through diverse resources, what we do is create this interaction between the real world and the digital one, and we bring tech that is using in different industries from them to see that what they learn is part of the world and is solving problems, right?
Yeah, but also it's important to the kids. He feeling part of the situation, and he can part of. I like the things because the technology is only a tool. It's not the last thing. The kids have his own personality. He can add to these projects and his own part of the view of the solutions.
And I think we see it today at all the weekend, this amazing week at FAB24. It's important to them to understand the connection between what they are learning and what is going on in the world right now. So it's important to them to understand, and even they find it more interesting. We try to allow them to be inspired, to know more about technology, and to be involved in their communities.
And Diego, 1 minute.
Thank you. We're almost done.
Okay.
So we wanted to broaden a little bit about what we like to do to foster curiosity, creativity, and creation. And to tell you, and if you want to learn something new, we invite you to go to our website. We have all these resources for everyone who wants to try it, which is moonmakers.org, or you can go to our YouTube channel, which have more interesting concepts in Spanish and in English.
Also, you can find us in social media like Moonmakers.
Yeah, so there's a QR code if you want to put it on. But something really important for us, and we wanted to take this space, even if it's just a minute, to say that FAB24 is a really important thing for us as young creators, because it's in a space to share this amazing and global community, and to find a place to not just talk, but actually make things, to put hands-on things and start doing things that are important, not just for us and our community, but all around the world. So we are really glad to be here. And just one quick thing, we are doing a podcast. So we invite you to give it a look. We wanted to make a space for some of the brilliant minds that are here and for sure their projects with around the world. So invite you to give it a look. And
we hope you enjoy this day in FAB24, and please enjoy this amazing week.
Yeah, and thank you so much to the FAB Foundation, the University of Ibero, Puebla, and we are really glad to be here with you and everyone.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, Camila and Diego.
I love your colors. You look fantastic.
You. Okay, and with that, I'm gonna take a couple of minutes to explain my origin story. So for that, sorry. I'm getting my head together here. So with that, I'm gonna tell you my origin story. So once upon a time, in the enchanted world of Dia de los Muertos, lived a curious, colorful creature named Luna. That's me. Luna was not like any other alebrijes. She had vibrant feathers of turquoise, violet, and gold that shimmered in the sunlight. She had a body of a jaguar and the tail of a serpent. But despite her unique appearance, Luna felt that she did not quite belong. In the heart of that magical place, where marigolds blossom and papel picado flutters in the breeze, Luna watched her fellow alebrijes prepare for the grand celebration. They were excitedly painted with calaveras, stringing up banners, and placing ofrendas of the colorful altars. Luna longed to be a part of it, but she needed to figure out where she fit in. I would like to introduce Sean True. He is one of the many creators that helped me bring to life. John?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean True. I'm the manager of the Central Coast Mobile Fab Lab out of the Monterey County Office of Education in Salinas, California. We created Luna as an activator, as an igniter, because philosophically in our shop, we believe that the arts are a strong vector for us to bring students into the maker movement and develop their STEAM skills. So we always embed our work in literature, and that's where she started. Then we were asked by the Hospice Foundation in Salinas, California, if we could present something for one of their events. And so what started out as a jaguar supporting rainforest conservation became an alebrije. Oh, I'm being told to move over here. Sorry about that. It's like your whole job this week is get people to stand in the middle. I'm trying to stand by Luna. So she is not my work alone. She's the work of a team. And I think that the piece that I want to say before I hopefully have Neil give me one of those like 2-minute things, I was excited for that possibility. But the thing that I wanted to say about her is as we think about the students that are in our spaces, they're very analogous to the community that we see here at FAB24 in Puebla. They come from different backgrounds, they have different cultural contexts, they speak different languages, but they also bring a host of amazing and beautiful skills together into the space. And our goal at the Central Coast Mobile Fab Lab is to teach students to grow that capacity and realize that capacity, and to support the educators who support them in understanding different ways and different approaches to education that really align very, very well with all the work that we've seen this week here in Puebla. So thank you for letting her MC this morning. Thank you to Norella for voicing her and doing an amazing job. So please clap for Norella. And with that, Luna, her microphone was muted. Sometimes her voice changes and it gets very deep. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I need my voice back, or my character back. So with that, I want to introduce to the stage Cindy Cotala. She's going to introduce us to the research paper highlights of the week. So between Monday and Tuesday, the researchers met all together and presented their papers. And today we're going to see which are the 3 highlights of those papers. So Cindy?
Hello, nice to see you all. Yes, I'm Cindy Cotala, and since I'm really happy to be back here with you on site, yay! I've also switched universities and countries since I saw you last, so I'm now at the Umeå Institute of Design in northern Sweden. Just wait. So my partner in crime with the research papers is Peter Troxler, who is with us in spirit. Peter's having a logistical issue on his side in Rotterdam, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to join us, but he sends his apologies and he's with us. So with the research paper highlights, I'm going to introduce a little bit what they are. I understand that we are a little bit we're probably going to go into the coffee break a little bit, but we'll try to be respectful of your needed coffee time. So what will happen is that we have chosen 3 papers as the best papers, and you're going to hear some highlights. And I really would like to offer these authors the chance to hear questions from the larger audience. So I really would like you to think about one brief question for each author in each paper, and then we'll wrap up. So we had 27 submissions this time, and we had then 10 accepted, so that's a 37% acceptance rate, which is pretty good. We have a team of anonymous peer reviewers. We have a review committee, and we're really grateful and thankful to those reviewers who contributed their academic service time to that. The research papers track is a really fantastic opportunity for those Fab Labbers who want to get a little bit of experience in academic writing to try out, to give academic paper writing a go. And for those researchers who have been doing it for a while to be able to do an exploratory study or maybe a subset study and present it to exactly this Fab Lab audience. So we had, 2 sessions, Monday and Tuesday, as Luna said, 10 papers, themes, circularity and sustainability, equity and resilience, education and health. Really super interesting overlaps also among and between the papers, which meant that after the sessions, the people were actually staying late and talking to each other. So that was really super nice to see. So let's move on very, very quickly to acknowledge our fantastic best papers. The first is the best paper, second runner-up, and the paper is by Ana Maria Sandoval Poveda and Diana Hernandez. And it is called please come up, Ana Maria. It is called Diversifying Digital Inclusion at the Universidad Estatal a Distancia. So each author will have a few minutes to be able to present just a few key highlights, and then we'll take one question from the audience. And are you presenting in Spanish?
Lovely. Buenos días. Muchas gracias. Queremos agradecer la invitación para haber venido acá al FAB24. Estuvimos trabajando en esta investigación Diana Hernández y yo, y en realidad son sobre proyectos que realiza nuestro Fab Lab, el Fab Lab Catrare de la Universidad Estatal a Distancia, y en realidad lo que hicimos fue considerar 10 diferentes proyectos que han contribuido a la inclusión digital y que han utilizado tecnologías de fabricación digital para esto. Entonces, utilizamos esta idea de inclusión digital para poder valorar el aporte que han hecho los proyectos a este tema. Entonces, son 3 áreas las que hay que considerar: si hay acceso, si hay alfabetización al respecto y apropiación de la tecnología. Los proyectos fueron muy variados. Algunos consideraron el uso de la tecnología solo para la construcción de materiales, en otros el uso propio de la tecnología. Y nosotros estamos trabajando con diferentes poblaciones y a lo largo de varios años. Aquí lo que ven es un recorrido a través de los años de cuáles son algunos de los proyectos. Comenzamos con poner internet en los teléfonos públicos para que las personas tuvieran acceso. Después, el compañero Esteban, que está aquí sentado en el público, trabajó con las pizarras digitales, cómo convertir un control de Wii en una pizarra digital. Después se estableció formalmente nuestro laboratorio de fabricación. Posteriormente, el primer laboratorio regional que tuvimos, que trabajó otro compañero que está aquí sentado, Harold, y su esposa. Ellos hicieron el primer mini laboratorio de fabricación en un lugar que se llama Turrialba, fuera de la gran área metropolitana, y lo tuvieron por varios años. Después tuvimos el establecimiento de un nodo de trabajo sobre recursos educativos abiertos, el cual todavía se mantiene y estudia en este momento precisamente los niveles de inclusión digital que tenemos en la universidad. También tuvimos otro proyecto donde ya los estudiantes tenían acceso, perdón, ya los estudiantes tuvieron acceso a algunos kits tecnológicos que les permitían no solo apropiarse de la tecnología, sino también ir haciéndose su propia biblioteca de materiales. En 2018 tuvimos otro proyecto a nivel nacional donde se trabajó con población que no tiene ningún dispositivo. ¿Qué se hizo? Se trabajó con un kit de Raspberry Pi y se fabricó un dispositivo tecnológico para que pudieran hacer sus trabajos. Y con esto, pues, lo que hicimos fue darles una oportunidad. Otra opción fueron las tabletas y aún se mantiene. Y los últimos 3 proyectos fueron los Fab Labs regionales. Tenemos uno en Punta Arenas, otro en San Carlos, y nuestra meta es llegar a tener en todas las regiones del país. El Fab Lab móvil, que es un vehículo del que les hablaremos mañana, con el que se llevan las tecnologías a las regiones más alejadas, y es más una idea de mostrar las tecnologías, darlas a conocer, que sepan que existe y que eso es algo que pueden usar. Y el último, que es el más reciente, es el trabajo con poblaciones donde no hay conectividad. Específicamente, el primer piloto se hizo con poblaciones privadas de libertad, porque nuestra universidad tiene centros universitarios en los centros penales. Muchísimas gracias.
So please stay on stage. Is anyone in the audience, if you have one brief question for Ana Maria? Leila? Do we have?
I would like to ask how many people from the prisons or Thank you. How many people from the jails have been certified or have taken your educational programs? De los centros penales, ¿cuántas personas?
Nuestro proyecto piloto se hizo en un centro penal. Bueno, en 2 centros penales con el mismo curso. Y lo trabajamos con poblaciones que están llevando materias de turismo para salir con un título de turismo sostenible. Trabajamos con 5 personas de un centro penal y una de otro centro penal llevando el mismo curso. En este caso, una de las satisfacciones mayores que tuvimos es que incluso tuvieron mejores calificaciones que las personas que están fuera. Pero, digamos, con el Rachel, la ventaja fue que estas personas ya no tienen que hacer todos sus trabajos en papel, ¿verdad? Sino que además podían aprender a utilizar algunas otras herramientas tecnológicas. En este caso, como fue un proyecto piloto, se hizo solo ahí. Este año, con la segunda parte del proyecto piloto, vamos a estar trabajando en otros 2 lugares, ya no centros penales, sino una sede universitaria de baja conectividad o de conectividad intermitente y lo que llamamos un salón comunal, que es un lugar donde no es centro universitario, pero las personas llegan a hacer sus trabajos. Y entonces esperamos ahí tener una población un poco más grande.
Thank you so much. So 6 people were trained in digital skills and got certificates of tourism to teach after being imprisoned. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you, Ana Maria and Diana, and congratulations on the Best Paper Second Runner-Up Award. All right, so now, drum roll, the Best Paper First Runner-Up Oscar Gonzalez, Milena Juarez, and Jessica Guy. Oscar and Milena, please come up on stage. The paper is called An Inquiry into Fab Labs as Enabling Spaces for Environmental Protection Initiatives.
Yes, sure. Buenos días a todos y todas. Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for the FAB24 co-chairs for the selection of our paper, and also for the opportunity to present it very quickly to you today. We are Milena Juarez and Oscar Gonzalez from Fab Lab Barcelona at IAC, and today we are presenting very quickly this paper that is titled as An Inquiry into Fab Labs as Enablers for Environmental Protection Initiatives, which we wrote with our colleague Jessica Guy. So we started the presentation and the writing process of this paper by coming with some reflections. And the motivations, we brought here some summarized items. First, we have been seeing that Fab Labs are moving from technological to social, from facilities to impact. And we have been seeing these over the years, but also a lot in this conference here in Puebla. The second point is that many Fab Labs are already working on environmental-related topics, and here we can, for example, mention environmental monitoring or awareness-raising campaigns. And the third point of our motivation is that a lot of research focuses on what happens inside the Fab Labs, but not so much on the outside. And these motivations brought us to a few questions to answer in this paper. The first question is, actually, what type of environmentally focused activities are Fab Labs getting involved in? The second question, with which stakeholders are Fab Labs working on, and how these relationships have been started and have been performed? And the third question that we explored in the paper is, what were the main motivations, barriers, and challenges and drivers, for this process to happen?
Thank you. So, well, Milena already gratefully presented me. My name is Oscar. As you can see, this paper, it goes from observations to try to derive some theory and try to keep going on these, as we will see later on. But to give you some insights on the findings that we had. In terms of environmental activities, we have seen that they have been ranging on many, many things. That there's topics on zero pollution, biodiversity observation, conservation, even deforestation prevention, monitoring, and so on. So there's a lot of work that is being done already, and that we're really interested to see how the Fab Labs are, with the activities that they're already doing, facilitating those processes, either by the techniques that they provide or by the type of activities that they do and the skills that they have. No? Like the fact that the Fab Lab can work well with communities is very important for these initiatives to thrive. The type of stakeholders is that we have seen that they don't do it alone. So we see that there's multi-stakeholders collaborations in these initiatives, and many times there's relationships that come about and start maybe dynamically with research centers, with universities, maybe with environmental NGOs and so on. And this is quite critical because we think that these efforts require a collective endeavor, and that in many cases those activities were already taking place where in these local spaces, and the Fab Lab jumped into these initiatives, into these relationships. And probably this is also trying to understand it from the social perspective, but there's a set of drivers and motivations and also limitations for these relationships to happen. And we think that it's very critical to understand those so that we can promote them and further work on that. So in terms of drivers, we have seen that there's a lot of private-public partnerships, and that many times align with local agendas. Limitations is that there's a lot of limitations on funding, and in some cases, depending on the geographical location, there's also political instabilities, maybe changes in government, and the public agendas change, so that's a limitation as well. And in terms of motivations, of course, there's many personal motivations. I think that Fab Labs and people that work in Fab Lab, I work in one, and we don't do it for the money. We do it because we love what we do, and when we get involved in this type of things is because we see that we can have an impact. And in some other cases, we also see that there's a dependency on the natural resources that there are around those Fab Labs in those local communities. Maybe they depend on forests, maybe they depend on the marine biodiversity, and that is a main driver for people to get involved in. We don't want our environment to crash because we really need and depend on the whole society around it depends on that, right? So conclusions on future work, and with this we finish, is that we see that there's a lot of overlap between Fab Labs and environmental related initiatives, both in motivations and set core of skills. It means that we see that the interest for knowledge sharing and the passion for what we do can very well align with environmental protection initiatives, and we believe that this is key for these initiatives to collaborate. We think that the presence of Fab Labs in these multi-stakeholder groups would be very beneficial for these initiatives. As a Fab Labs, we have a multifaceted role where we provide training, we provide technology, we provide community engagement, and we know how to engage with people. So we think that these type of groups could benefit from the presence of a Fab Lab in those activities. From a maybe methodological perspective is that we would like to further observe and work and understand how these relationships are happening, and to be able to promote them. We think that it's fundamental that we do some groundwork to understand how these relationships are happening. And for that, we want to continue doing some work, and we want to collaborate with you. And we believe, and we're very thankful for having this time right now here, because this is a call for us to participate and work together. And the first step is that we will be doing a workshop tomorrow at 2 p.m. in J113, and where we will want to talk to other people here and see what they are doing and see how can we work together, maybe by establishing some more connections, maybe to do more work on the ground level, or see how can we further explore and promote these collaborations. And that's it. Thank you very much. You have our emails there if you want to contact us, and thank you.
Fantastic. So we have time for one brief question from the audience, if there is one. People are being a bit shy. So I could ask, what's the next step then for you and this project?
So,
Yeah, I have one question. You asked what were the initiatives or what the projects in the environmental Fab Labs are doing. This one, did you have an answer to that? What projects?
What type of projects are they working on?
Yeah, there was one, the first slide or second slide.
Yeah, so, well, the ones that we managed to find, which is something interesting and paradoxical at the same time, because there's not that much documentation around on what's going on, and that because of that we leveraged the connections with the network to do some interviews. What we found is that there's a wide range of things, and that depends on the local level. In some cases, they're working, for instance, people at Union Fab Lab in Congo, they're working on how they can connect to initiatives that are doing plastic collection and cleaning, so that they can then use that plastic and generate something out of it with precious plastic work, and then also do educational training or educational programs for young students with the skills of that. So, or with in parallel to that. So they're promoting work opportunities at the same time that they're protecting the environment. In other cases, for instance, the ones that I'm closer to, for instance, in Iceland, I guess the Frosty is a very well-known person in the community. They are very well connected with the Beluga Observatory and the Marine Biodiversity Observatories in Vestmannaeyjar. And what they are doing is start helping on the dissemination on the university findings, and also help them monitor biodiversity. So for instance, they have little puffins that they are coming into the island, and then they cannot go out because they don't know how to fly. But then they help, they promote so that kids help them fly again. But during that, they're helping monitor the amount of puffins that are coming, the health state, understand whether or not they have any sort of issue around their health. I am not a biologist, so I'm not going to make anything up. But basically, they're helping the data collection at the same time that they are doing some effort. And that means that there's two things that the Fab Lab is doing there. It's not only a technology provider, but it's an impact through the skills that it has and it promotes with activities that they know how to do, because we know how to talk to people, we know how to talk to kids, we know how to give a class, we know how to talk in spaces that have a wide range of profiles. Those things are put into at work in this context, and that is very key, so that you get out of the Fab Lab and you go out into the world and generate some impact with it.
I was about to talk.
Sorry for that.
So congratulations then to Oscar and to Milena and Jessica for the Best Paper Award first runner-up. Finally, the Best Paper Award, Liz Whitewolf, if Liz could come on stage. With her fan club, with the paper Activating Fab Labs for Classroom Learning, Supporting K-12 Teachers in Technology Integration.
Thank you. Thanks to Cindy and Peter and the conference for this opportunity to present my research that I've been working on for the past 3 or so years. So there's a big promise of school-based Fab Labs, and that promise is that students can learn to do project-based learning in a creative and collaborative environment with these tools and technologies in the formal school day. And schools are adding these maker spaces without a lot of thought and research put behind the implications of such rapid adoption. They're just quickly adding maker spaces, buying the next thing as soon as they can. So what does that mean for the classrooms, and particularly for the teachers who are basically in charge of integrating these Fab Labs? The problem statement that I came up with after my literature review and some surveys with stakeholders in education is that teachers are not sufficiently supported to integrate digital fabrication technologies in their classroom for student learning. The problem goes beyond educating the teacher. In fact, the problem has some fish, this is my fishbone diagram. The problem has some contributing factors, and each of the ribs on the fishbone are a contributing factor domain: time and space, technology knowledge, pedagogy and integration knowledge, support network, and standardized testing. In particular, the problem area that I focused on in my research is pedagogy and integration knowledge. I framed my intervention study around the TPAC framework, which is the 3 domains that teachers need when they're teaching with new technology. They need to learn. They need to teach in the technology domain, the pedagogical domain, and the content knowledge domain. But more importantly, the overlaps between those 3 domains. That's where the magic happens when you're using new technologies or digital fabrication technologies with students in a formal classroom setting. My intervention procedure, I worked one-to-one with teachers to to train them on the technology integration strategies, and we developed lesson plans for them to use in their classroom. And what was important, that these lesson plans were non-technological learning outcomes. So the outcomes of their lessons were really more about what their content area was, or just non-technological learning outcomes like social emotional learning or gender balance or something that was non-technological. One of the learning, I had a lot of learnings, but I have 5 minutes. So one of the learnings that I find most interesting from the study is that when classroom teachers are introduced to technology and they develop these lesson plans, they're excited to use it. But one of the things that's holding them back and really making them think twice about integrating is the student preparedness. And so I added a new fishbone to my diagram, because teachers that are teaching music or library or art or whatever they're teaching have content to teach, and they don't necessarily have the time to also teach basic technology literacy, like right-clicking or selecting or downloading files. So just those types of technological literacy that their schools may or may not incorporate in other classes and throughout the curriculum. So they're like, I need to teach music and technology literacy. So I added that to my fishbone diagram, kind of towards the findings part of my research. Other interesting learnings is just to fully integrate Fab Labs into schools, attention to support is imperative. And that's attention from the faculty, from the administration. It's very important. Just putting in the tools isn't enough. You can't just put in the tools and expect teachers to be able to use them in a meaningful way with students. Pre-designed lesson plans are not enough to thoughtfully integrate their learning with the technology. And the teachers need support. They need to learn the technology. They need authentic lesson plan development. And they need to know the best practices with digital fabrication in students, because knowing how to use a 3D printer is so much different than using a 3D printer with 30 students in a classroom in a 45-minute class. And then they need their support with professional learning opportunities as well. There we go. Is that under time?
Congratulations, Lynn, on the Best Paper Award for FAB24. Woo! So I welcome you all to find those authors then during the coffee break and grill them, ask them questions about their research and how they do their work. I also want to say thank you to the invisible simultaneous translators, especially dealing with those of us who don't know how not to speak fast. Big round of applause. Peter Troxler and I say hi and thanks from the research paper highlights.
Thank you, Cindy and Liz. So I'm very happy to announce this because I think it's really themed with me. And so I want to introduce to the stage Walter and friends for the Fabber size.
And Okay.
¿Con el circo, por favor? Ah, ¿qué tal? ¿Me pasa con el lanzallamas? Hola, lanzallamas, ¿qué tal? ¿Me lanzaría a San Bernardo así me ahorro el pasaje?
With the song that we have. La música no funciona.
Venga, Dios.
¿Sí? Oh, but we have to pull. You have to pull because this has to go up. These have to go up. Please, if you're sitting on it or standing on it, please. Okay, we pull this side. Pull up, 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 up. Arriba, arriba.
¿Con el circo, por favor? Ah, ¿qué tal? ¿Me pasa con el lanzallamas?
We have to pull it up. Yes, this one.
Hola, lanzallamas,
Pull the
¿qué
cord,
tal?
pull the cord.
¿Me lanzaría a San Bernardo así me ahorro el pasaje?
Ah, there it is.
¡Dile que te lancen en primera! ¡En primera!
Tranquila que los chistes los hace papá. Hola, San Juan. ¿Tintorería Yamamoto? ¿Qué tal? Una pregunta, ¿lavan piel de llama? ¿Y piel de moto? No, que Yamamoto. Habla un pariente. Llama a
¿Este
pie.
lado? Para. Muchas más.
No entendí. ¿Cómo no entendiste? Llama a moto, llama a
Sí,
pie.
sí.
Ah,
Arriba,
es malísimo.
Es. Okay. All right.
llama que es tiempo de descuento.
Hola, FM Cucuy. Ay, la radio está re buena. Quería pedir el tema que me pinche el cardo del grupo Llamaradas. ¿No lo conoces? Escucha.
Es una metáfora de la
Que me pincha.
es una metáfora de la red FAB, que integra todas las razas, todas las culturas, todas las religiones y todo su espíritu bonito y lindo que tienen acá.
This is a metaphor of the network, the Fab Lab network, and the spirit of all the people in this place. Thank you very much.
Una pregunta más. ¿Quién tiene scissors? Who has scissors?
So please help clean up. We are
Estoy con mi
over time.
hermano Max. Una palabra, por favor, por este
Gracias, gracias. Qué hermosura. It's very nice, beautiful to be here. We in Oaxaca call this a kind of guelaguetza. And in Peru, well, we are both the same. We are brothers. So thank you very much.
Gracias. Un picture.
Un picture. Un picture. Oh, oops. Un picture. A picture with Walter. Come, everyone, join him on stage. So we invite everyone for a coffee break. We are over time, so we will do just 10 minutes of break, and then we'll be back for our symposium session. Thank you, everyone. Please help clean up if you can before you leave.
There was like a maintenance person cleaning out the CNC room this morning. So I think they did most. It was like
That's not cool.
no.
Roberto, I'll tell him that's not okay. You can't use it anymore if it's like that.
Yeah, when I went in there and took that picture, she was just sweeping the floor, but then I walked by later and she had like turned off the whole machine.
No, it's not cool. She shouldn't have to do that.
No. But also, why is she cleaning it now? Because it wasn't clean when we got here.
No. Not on my watch. I got them from the medical class. It's like, you got some scissors?
Someone lost a pouch. It's on the stage. Someone staying at Hotel Real Puebla, room 503, we have their stuff. Please, we need to wrap up. Do your break, and we will start in 5 minutes.
No, we'll fall on someone's head. It'll be funny.
It's just that that one is like
Yeah, it's gonna.
stuck in there.
Oh, it's stuck there. It's not gonna come down.
Okay. What do you think that's gonna get this down?
Bring it to me.
Okay. Great. Okay.
¿Cómo se dice en inglés? O sea, tampoco.
Okay, wait. Both have to let go at the same time. Let it go. No, pull. Let go.
Where did my scissors go?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ay, ya se bajaron los otros.
Ya bajaron.
Hay que agarrar.
please start getting your seats. We will start in 5 minutes.
Hello. Thank you. Hello. Please, guys, could you take your seats, please? Thank you very much for being here at this cultural equity program. Please, could we sit? The whole conference is around the concept of fabricating equity. And this theme, we come out with this idea in a meeting with local, municipal, the federal government, and many people from the university and the communities whom we work with. And we thought about fabricating social equity because in Puebla, the gap between those who have a lot and those who have nothing is very big. To give you an idea, Puebla, 65% of the manufacturing GDP in Puebla is auto industry. We have the largest Volkswagen plant in the Americas. We have a big Audi plant here and an entire 50-year-old cluster of automaking industry in Puebla. But on the other hand, the municipality with the highest number of poor people in Mexico is also the municipality of Puebla. So it's very evident this enormous gap between those who have everything and those who have nothing. And now we are going to have this equity panel. I have 3 great presenters with 3 great ideas and projects, and that are going to give us a way to have a very nice discussion. I would like to start with Andrea Perez. She started her career years ago in the social economy entrepreneurship consulting. She has managed social economic innovation programs at IDIT for 6 years and has participated in important social economy initiatives. Today, she's in charge of the Economic Innovation Node at IDIT, where she implements developing programs at the base of the pyramid. Andrea.
Hi, everyone. I think I'm going to go on the stage. I hope you enjoy Puebla. Hi, my name is Andrea Perez, and today I will share with you the experience of the Business Innovation Node working with entrepreneurship and innovation programs in many communities all around Mexico. So sorry, I have to do that. So the Business Innovation Node develops entrepreneurship programs with a special focus on social economy. So that means that we try to do this methodology. It's not only work on business things, but also work in social dimension, in innovation dimension, and also in network dimension. So I'm going to share with you how our methodology works, just for a few contexts, and then I'm going to start with the theme of this panel. So at the first beginning, we have these 4 dimensions that I have already taught to you, and we have principal actors that develop this methodology. These principal actors are the main piece of this puzzle, because we call them mentors and facilitators. The mentors and facilitators are the people who is in the field accompanying these initiatives, these enterprise initiatives. So they are key for develop this methodology. So, sorry. No. I'm going to show you a quickly roadmap of our methodology, and maybe this looks so easy, but it's not, and it's take a lot of time to us to figure out how it's going to work. And I'm only going to show you 2 dimensions and 3 stages. The first dimension, or the one that I want to share with you today, is the innovation dimension, which is the initiative starts with an idea. That idea becomes in a prototype. Then at the second stage, that prototype becomes an MVP. And on the third stage, that MVP becomes a product ready to exit market. So This stage take most like 9 months, of implementation in the territories. And then we believe in social economy, but we also believe that enterprises has to be enterprises. So they have to have profits on their things that they are doing. So we have this entrepreneurial and business dimension, when they start with an idea, amount of ideas, and we select at the first stage one powerful idea. That powerful idea becomes into a project, and in the third stage, that project becomes into an enterprise. So we have another 2 dimensions, but these two are so important for this panel. So, in order to start responding the questions for this panel, that is, what are the main challenges communities face when adopting new technologies and how they be overcome, I'm going to share that we change the way that they learn. Why? Because we think it's important that the way that communities learn in Mexico, because it has not evolved. We are teaching us the same way that our ancestry, and that is not going to work anymore, because we have a very diverse territory in Mexico. We have oceans, we have mountains, we have woods, we have jungles. The people who was in Chiapas saw it. So, for example, here in Puebla, we have 217 municipalities, some of which are 5 hours away from here. So it's very difficult to them to bring the knowledge to those regions. So we can change the way that people learn, and that's why we develop these micro lessons through short audios where people can access to basic knowledge on different topics. This, the image that you can see at the presentation, is a template of knowledge. They are all little audios, short audios that people can hear in their cell phones or in any radio station of their local communities. So we select a theme and for which the content is developed, and people listen to it and fill out a form, which actually was here. Well, this is a picture of the people using the tool in the communities, but also we select the teams, and then we build another templates. But yes, here, sorry. People listen to it and fill the forms to ensure the knowledge acquired during that micro lesson, it's okay. We need to know if they are really learning or not. So this is a very interesting tool, but it's not enough because many of that communities don't speak Spanish. So imagine that it's difficult to us. Is Spanish, we suppose that everyone talks, but here in Mexico, it's not the reality. So in collaboration con el Instituto Poblano de Pueblos Indígenas, which is a government office that brings support to these native and origin territories, we develop all these training templates in 3 different native languages, Otomi, Totonaco, and Nahuatl. And that's very interesting because we are spreading knowledge. So each participant is given a template, and as they progress, they mark their template with stickers. So because it's important to us that they can show how much they are been learning in just 5, 7, or 10 minutes. Our lessons are too short. And nowadays, we have more than 10 training templates in 4 different languages for many of those communities who don't speak Spanish. And I think it's very important because we are spreading knowledge. And specifically, there's a time when we show the efficiency of this tool, because during COVID-19 pandemic, the people don't have access to the basic information in their own languages. So we developed these templates in different languages to show them basic information about COVID-19 and the symptoms and how has to react if they have one symptom. So that's where we all saw the efficiency and how scalable this tool can be. So in this way, we achieved two things that I consider it's part of great challenges of adopting new technologies. First of all, they lost the fear to unknown. Before this tool, they never has learned in a podcast format. So it's very interesting because they stop fearing to the things that they don't know, and also they trust that this is a simple way to learn the things that they don't know, and also the things to do, make different things. So this is in order to answer the first question, and the second one, ya no sé cuánto tiempo me queda. Okay, so the other one is how technology preserve and revitalize traditions without compromising their authenticity. And for this particular part of the presentation, I would like to show you some images that represent the before and after of our intervention. So this is one of them. If you could show the piece where it's located in my right hand, your left hand, it's the work that they used to do in Yucatan communities. So these communities don't sell this piece. And when we arrive them and we start a campaign with the methodology that I have already shown you, we could develop better pieces. Not better maybe in the materials because it's local materials, but just better in design. So we really believe that design could make difference of the develop of communities. So that's what we start, and in the right side, we have a very different model using different techniques, but not new techniques. Actually, the techniques that the people have access in their communities, because I think it's a little bit unfair that we bring all of them to the EDIT and we have a very big infrastructure, but then in their territories, there is not that infrastructure. So for us, it's very important first to stay at the territory and so what they need, what they have, and together build what could we do to change the way and also to try to develop their initiatives. So we attend 11 groups of 3 different regions of Yucatan, Tecom, Tizimul, and Chiquinzonot. So these are at the peninsula, and they are women, artisans, and people who has dreams and their own, yes, they are so brave because they has to entrepreneur to achieve something. So we have a very similar case at Sierra Norte de Puebla, which is at the north of the Puebla state. And actually for this particular case, the people, the women, sorry, that nowadays they are a cope, they have a lot of tools, carpentry tools, and they also have a CNC machine, and they also have a laser cut, and they have a lot of infrastructure, but they don't know how to use it. So it's also responsible for many projects in different institutions that give them the machinery and the tools, but don't learn how to use it. So, and on our first intervention, we teach them how to use these tools and these machines and the CNC and the laser and those, the tools, all the tools that they have, they also have a very big space. And the second part, and they start with these portallaves, which I don't know the literal translation, but it's for keys. When they learn how to use it. And then when we start with them with business dimension, they and also design, they could do this.
2 minutes, Andrea. 2 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So nowadays they have an online store, they already have a page, a web page, so they really are growing up their initiative. I'm gonna show you a little bit the space of these women. Actually, if you saw, it's very big. They had a lot of tools, and now they know how to use it. And also they permit themselves to dream a different future for their daughters and their sons and their community. And finally, this is my favorite. Don't tell anyone, but this is one of my favorites because we show that with the artisans we can build different things. So this is a local artisan who made piggy banks or plot. So he has their mold, and they have to do some, I'm gonna do it. For the has a perfect piggy bank, they have to move like this manually. And for all of you, because you are makers, it's too easy to say, we have a rotomoldeo machine. But they don't know that it exists. So imagine that they have to produce 500 of piggy banks per day. The people who do this, maybe they have a lot of muscle, but it's very difficult. And what our intervention over here is how the technology, but a few technology can bring them a better solutions for efficiently their production. So we design with the artisan, because actually this is one of their ideas, but he don't know how to build. He know what they need, but he don't know how to build it. So with some of the students, we went there and we designed this machine. Actually, this is the second version of the machine because the first one is so rustic, so frugal, but it works. So now he can produce more than 1,000. So for end, this is our way to fabricate equity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrea. Now we are having Max Matus. He's from Oaxaca, from Zapotec origins. Max has a PhD in sociology of rural development from the University of Wageningen in the Netherlands. He's a master in semiotics from Taru University in Estonia and a master in social anthropology from the Center of Advanced Studies in Social Anthropology in Mexico. He has served as coordinator of the Techno-Anthropology Office of Infotech CONACYT Public Center in Mexico, and currently he's in researches at Colegio de la Frontera Norte, specializing in technology in indigenous communities, and he has a wonderful initiative called Skenda Lab, an open space for digital indigenous experimentation, creativity, and innovation. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much. Hello. Padiushi, Shinula Shidoloka, Nuavinisa, Nalaya Max. Hello, how are you? How does it your hair feels? I am Max, I am Zapotec. Hola, ¿cómo están? Soy Maximino Matus. ¿Cómo se siente su corazón el día de hoy? Soy zapoteco y estoy muy feliz de estar aquí. Nuana Yeche. Bueno, hoy les vengo a platicar. Today I come to talk with you about the work that I do at COLEF, the place where I work. There I have a lab, which name is Skenda Lab, which focus on indigenous people. What we try to do there is to bring new technologies, especially digital technologies, to indigenous people to do with them whatever they want. This is our main principle. And to do so, everybody is welcome to our lab, it's for free, and also we bring the technologies to the communities, and we let them to do whatever they want. So in this way, we try to promote appropriation, and what we like about this free, open way of introducing technology is that actually people use technology in very interesting ways. We don't have to let them know at first how to use them. So they start to reproduce what? Their culture, their environment, what is meaningful to their lives. And once they know somehow what to do with this technology, what is the power of this technology, what is the potential of this technology, then we start talking about how to develop innovation, how to somehow create systems, how somehow to create meaningful technologies in order to push the development of their communities. So that is what we do. I think that we have a kind of a problem sometimes in our community of Fabbers, because culture and society is not the same. And we think that somehow social inclusion is the same than cultural inclusion, but those things are totally different. Society is, of course, a social structure, is what somehow compose our societies, is economic, political, and so forth. Culture, instead, is what we are, but in the community level. As me, for example, I'm Zapotec, and I'm sure you belong also to different ethnic groups. Maybe you are Mexicans, maybe there are also indigenous people. So this is part of our culture. And one thing that is very important of our culture is the language. Why? Because the language is what somehow contains the universe. So I'm trying to bring to you the idea about focusing a lot in the language when you develop innovations. Why? Because if you pay attention on the way that people see specific things or the beliefs that they have and how they relate to each other, to nature, if you pay attention to that, then you will somehow to help them to save their pluriverses. Instead, if you just bring technology and you try to push an idea that you think that is fantastic, but is not related to the culture, is not related to the language, then instead of helping, you will destroy. So please be mind, pay attention to languages, if possible, learn the languages, the local languages, and then start working from it. So, but also it's very important to start from the affection. Every culture has a different affection. For example, some cultures have affection to particular plants, some trees, also spirits. Every culture is different in this way because every culture is its own cosmology, right? So we have to pay also attention on what people cares about in life. Because if we will innovate with indigenous people, we have to innovate for their lives, for their pluriverses, not for ours, not from a Western point of view. So please pay attention on affection. The sadness and the power concepts from the Luz philosophy, I think is very beautiful. Because what we try to do, I think everybody who is here, is to develop a better world, right? And we together are trying to push that, better cities, better cultures, better world, better society. If we work together, then we will make a more beautiful, a more joyful world. So in this way, our power, it can construct instead of destruct, of creating destruction. So please remember again, when working with a culture, with an ethnic group, with an indigenous group, don't try to push your ideas. Be respectful about what they believe, about their language, about the way they view the world, and then let's make together a better world for all of us. I have the hypothesis that somehow Fab Labs can help to rebuild those pluriverses that has been missing because of colonization. Why? Because with Fab Labs we can design, digital design, but we can also digital print. We can construct almost everything we want, right? So imagine if those pieces of the world that has been missing from the indigenous groups are possible to rebuild, to redesign, to print, to exist again after a process of destruction, then we are redesigning indigenous worlds, we are redesigning pluriverses, and then we are creating a more beautiful and joyful world for those indigenous groups. So this is the hypothesis, and that is the work that I try to do. Techniques, what it is? Well, it's the culture plus technology. This is a concept of Yu Hui, a philosopher from China. And he says that the cosmotechnics is actually what brings together things in the world. So if we are gonna develop technology with indigenous people, we have to develop cosmotechnics or rebuild cosmotechnics, rescue cosmotechnics. Because, as I said before, some of those cosmotechnics has already been lost because of different things, because of colonization, because of modernity. But if we understand which are the main cosmotechnics of each group, and we somehow try to redesign them, try to push them, try to make new cosmotechnics for those groups, again, we are gonna make a more joyful and beautiful world for them. So try to pay attention, which are the main technologies of indigenous groups. For example, in Alaska, the way that they potlatch, for example, this is a kind of a cosmotechnic. In Pacific Islands, is Kula is the way that a bracelet circulates around the islands. This is another cosmotechnic. So pay attention on what cosmotechnics are the main ones in the place where you work and try to work on it, try to rebuild them. In this way, you are gonna strengthen the pluriverses. So what about bringing technologies without being reflected into indigenous communities? Well, then, as I said before, instead of creating joy, we are gonna create sadness. Why? Because we are destroying somehow their cosmologies. We are destroying those things, those technologies that make them happy. This is an example which reflects about it. This is Huirrárica School, or Huichol School, an indigenous group from Western Mexico. And in one side, you see the original, somehow, piece of art. On the other, you see how it's processed by somehow, an artist, and is pushing somehow these square things in order to make clear how we deform culture if we use technology in a wrong way. Maybe it looks interesting, right? Maybe it looks beautiful for someone, but this is disrespectful at the end of the day. This is not respecting what people believe about somehow their own culture. Why? Because the things that you see, for example, there in the school are not just for decorating. Those things are peyote. Those things are a beautiful power plant that they use because they believe that this relates them with God, right? So on the other side, you don't see this peyote, for example. So you are not respecting this cosmotechnic. Then it's not a sacred object anymore. It's just, yes, art.
Max, 2 minutes, please.
Yeah. So to conclude, I believe that it's very beautiful to think that we are a global community, that we all work together, that we all somehow share the same interest. But I also invite you to pay attention on the particularities of your cultures, of your ethnic groups, of the indigenous people that you work with, on the languages that these people speak. So instead of talking about a global system of innovation, a distributed system of innovation, maybe we have to start talking about singular systems of innovation. Maybe we have to start talking about how Mesoamerican groups innovate, or Arid American groups innovate, and what do they have in common, and how in those singular systems of innovation, by introducing Fab Lab technologies, we somehow can strengthen those cultures, and we can somehow open new futures for modern indigenous in the world. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Max. Very, very interesting. Next, we have Liz Vary. After some time working as a urban designer, Liz found her true north was working with people with a strong social background. Founding board member of the Computational Democracy Project in Seattle, This project gravitates around Polis, an open source real-time system for gathering, analyzing, and understanding what large groups of people think in their own words, enabled by advanced statistics and machine learning. Today, she works as CEO and head of partnerships of the project. Liz, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm going to stay seated. It's really an honor to have been able to join this panel with the both of you. Those are really inspiring presentations, and thanks for organizing. It's great to be here among the FAB community, and I look forward to learning more about all of your initiatives. Thanks for listening today. So I'm going to go back to share a story from 2010 that's relevant to our theme today. So there was a moment when a government blocked access to collecting data and interfered with science, blocked journalism, and injured the public health and safety of people impacted by an environmental disaster. And in a moment like that, it's time for open hardware, open software, and collective action. So in this video, we're looking at a boat driven by fishermen in the Gulf of Mexico. The off color in the water is oil. This is the start of the BP oil spill, and the government had blocked airplanes and helicopters from flying. It only allowed the corporation itself to collect data. And so radical creative technologists joined the fishermen and stitched these and got images from balloons and kites, stitched them into maps, and carried them around the world on the Associated Press. And these images later formed evidence in court with financial settlements to compensate those fishermen. So this was a long time ago, but out of this, a movement was born. The public lab story is rich and involves tens of thousands of people building and using their own tools to collect environmental evidence against polluters. They created a culture of distributed knowledge sharing designed to equip local researchers to advance local goals. And then out of public lab, more movements emerged. For instance, the Gathering for Open Science Hardware, where I served on the inaugural community council. These movements themselves are preceded by other movements. And the work I showed so far, whether or not the people involved in them knew it or not, follow in the lineage of the Latin American innovation of popular education. Popular education for community liberation. In the 1960s, Paulo Freire created... Okay, we have a lot of teachers in this room. These slides are for you, or for the people who don't know what you already know, which is that Paulo Freire created a literacy method in which people learn critically about their world through dialogue about their own problems in their own daily lives, while learning to read and write, picking up skills along the way of pursuing change. Freire's program also supported people who take action to transform their problems. Based on this, Freire was invited by Brazil's government to coordinate their national plan, but then there was a military coup, and he was imprisoned. He continued to work, however, founding a movement that spread across the world. This movement sharpened existing other movements, such as the Catholic worker movement, community-based participatory research, action research. I say the names of these movements in case some of you here haven't heard of these, but there is a large body of practice that is some of the waters in which we are swimming here today as the FAB community. And after popular education came the appropriate technology movement, and after that, the open source movement, which at times holds very clear values, but not all the time. So for our panel here today, I'm going to share the full quote by Freire. I am a teacher who favors democracy over dictatorship of either the right or the left. I am a teacher who favors constant struggle against every form of discrimination, against economic domination by individuals or social classes. I'm a teacher who opposes the current capitalist order that has brought about the aberration of misery amidst plenty, which reminds me of Aristarcho's opening remarks. What might this look like today? One example I will show you, and look at the schedule grid in the back. That's the key part of this image, is that people made their own schedule. I'm showing an image of a public lab barn raising, which a few people here today have attended. A barn raising is a term that describes many people working together to achieve something bigger than someone could have achieved on their own. And at this event, people self-organize around the challenges they face. This is agenda-setting power. Dialogue happens among people and then through technology among people and the environment. And out of this, data is not the only result. The critical output is collective political will. For anyone who wants to look up this method, perhaps you've experienced yourself an unconference or a foo camp. There is a method deeper and more profound than those systems called open space technology, and I invite you to look it up. It's fully documented. And the single most important principle is be prepared to be surprised. So I'm going to share a few examples from the United States, although there are many stories of community-led research through the public lab from Rio de Janeiro to Guangzhou. For the first, let us go to coastal Louisiana, where volunteers and also government staff, nonprofits, architecture firms, gardeners, everyone joined together as community scientists to create a tapestry of research made of diverse standpoints. Again, we see the kites and balloons hoisting cameras over the oil spill, which were outperforming the available satellite resolution at the time. But we also got into infrared imagery for determining the extent of wetland erosion. And we used lasers and spectrometers to differentiate oil from mud and differentiate types of oil from each other. And out of this, those aerial images served as evidence for the BP oil disaster court case, and the settlement now funds many Gulf Coast civic and research organizations. And partner organization Healthy Gulf won fines and a consent decree on this oil terminal with this photograph that shows a very steep pile of coal powder sitting in the middle of flowing water. And that enabled the agency to sue and it enabled the nonprofit to sue and force the government to take action that the elites in the area viewed as undesirable. Over to New York City, again, a huge swath of diverse partners, from people who love boats to professors, environmental regulators, and lawyers, all came together as community scientists to form a tapestry of research from diverse standpoints. Here we see a friend canoeing through ice, breaking the ice with their paddle to get low-cost thermal imagery that showed chemicals being released into the water and melting through the ice. We're also looking at dye tracing, using food coloring to trace the currents in the water, learning where wetland plants could be reestablished. And we also went canoeing when the water was full of sewage. The white image where the water is white in the upper right-hand corner is the carcasses of uncountable dead bacteria who boomed and died, and it allowed us to see the comparatively clear water, which was evidence of an underground stream. There was also water testing supported by a local university. All of this came together into a tapestry that led to outcomes. An additional city block of wetlands is going to be rebuilt in the heart of New York City as a result of community-collected data. And while we were poking around in the canal, we also pulled out circuit boards printed with the names of the company who collected them, causing that company to have to pay for the cleanup. I'll skip this anecdote of the funny time when we had to prove in court that water flowed downhill. And that, I'm not sure if this is a high point or a low point of citizen science, but keeping going, this shows the circuit board with the company's name, now an accountable party, and the design for the new wetlands to be built. For my last case to share, move up to Chicago, where, again, the partnerships, neighbors, museum staff, design thinking professionals, open source software brigades, all came together as community scientists to form this tapestry of research. Here, what was happening is that right next to the neighborhood, a pile of petroleum coke was being stored. It's actually a waste product of the Alberta tar sands, an oil extraction site that can be seen from space. And this was a community that was already politically active. We can see scenes of their demonstrations where they locked their arms together inside of pipes to block the entrance to this facility so that no more coal could be brought into their neighborhood. To that, technologists joined alongside to help them in the way they identified their problem. Software groups put up weather stations that would trigger text alert to neighbors when the wind blew across the pile into the neighborhood so that people knew to close their windows, cover their food, keep their pets and children inside. And also, other people got on a boat to get those aerial images. When you get aerial images from enough different angle around a landform, you can detect structure from motion and determine the volume, how much hazardous waste was stored in this neighborhood. And out of this, the mayor and city hall created municipal regulations where there were no regulations previously to regulate coal and coke bulk materials. And the piles were moved out of that neighborhood. This particular picture was important because in the upper left-hand corner, we're looking at freshly fallen snow on the surface of the river. The snow is still falling, but already the snow was being colored gray by petroleum. So that shows that this was ongoing active pollution. That's grounds to sue, and that influenced the mayor. So I'm wrapping up here. Thank you for listening to all of these examples. One more. Let me leave you with something, which is here in the Fab community and the broader making and hacking movement, we are not just imagining techno-futures, we're imagining collective futures. I love being here with you, with the political force that you are. Sitting here with us is the fact that technology has contributed to inequality. Open source licensing alone does not solve that, although I'm known as an open source champion myself. I want to invite us to look at the structures we create for holding technology and governing technology. So I'm not saying that I've never had my life improved by a corporation's products or services or by a corporate paycheck. But here today at this conference on this panel with this theme, I am saying that the ownership of technological advances have to be arranged so that more share in the benefit, or we will all lose. So to do this, we must clarify our values. But clarifying our values, this is starting to seem like administration and governance, and many of us say, ugh. However, you are already setting amazing examples. Makers and hackers routinely create innovative ways to work together in pursuit of possible futures. Have you started a makerspace and tried to figure out how to make decisions together and welcome in the general public? Have you started a company and tried to figure out how to make decisions together as you grow? These initiatives demonstrate our values and the ways that we search for better worlds and for a world where many worlds fit, which is, in English, the translation of something I learned from the Zapatistas. This community's work shows that governance methods can be iteratively improved by their users, by us, to be ever more fit for purpose. Seen in this way, governance is technology too. So we, the maker and hacker community, are prototyping upgrades to democracies that are more collectively intelligent and humane. Our self-governance experiments matter for the pursuit of self-determination worldwide. When democracy struggles, where will the new prototypes come from? And here, being at Fab Mexico 2024, I can confidently say that upgrades to our ability to determine our own fate will come, in part, from us. I look forward to hearing about your experiments. I'd like to know what you think. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. No, you can put it. It's very, very interesting. Thank you, Liz. I just couldn't help but remind some cases here in Mexico. This huge mine that dropped tons of sulfuric acid to the Sonora River, killing everything in its way and for years. And since the owner of this mine was one of the richest people in Latin America, everything was quiet in the media. Nobody knew nothing, and all the people was underpaid. But we did not have any evidence of all this disaster. So, here's my question: is how can we kind of push communities to be more active, more to participate more in these cosmotechnics, to empower people to, with data, try to find this equity and this social justice? What?
Okay, thank you very much. It was also very nice to listen all your ideas and example about how to somehow make indigenous people, yes, to be open to participate, adopting those technologies and using them for good. I think that first of all we have to recover the confidence of them, because they are, some of them or many of those communities are, they know that we, when we come from universities or from labs or from government, we don't really compromise with them, with their ways of life. Here in Mexico, we have a lot of focus in some communities in the South, in Mesoamerica, in the community. And we somehow believe that community has to be practiced. There is not something like it's done, that this is a community. No, to be a community, you have to practice every day. And to practice every day when you are an outsider is not easy. So that's the reason, because sometimes they don't believe in us. So we have to be along with communities, walk with communities, stay with communities, to commit really with communities. And after a long time, when we really have confidence with them, only in this way we can then create very, very beautiful, sustainable projects. So my recommendation would it be, don't rush. Don't try to prototype everything very fast for a community and then leave it, because then we are somehow cheating if we don't somehow follow them. We give a promise and we don't follow the promise. So that's what I have learned.
Thank you. Liz, do you think there's a link missing between these hackers, makers, fabbers, and the community? What do you think that triggered these actions of taking pictures and engaging with community and raising the voice? We just have 4 minutes now.
Well, it's a pretty deep question, but the way that I've worked with organizing around technology before, we never go where we're not invited. In social movements, there's a critique of parachuting in, coming in from the outside and saying, okay, now we're all gonna work together when we're not invited. So it's very important to build the kind of relationships that I started hearing Max talk about before undertaking a project. And I would also say it's part of maybe opening our eyes as technologists to look around at what the many everyday problems are that are facing people. This would be some of the lesson from Frary, is that there are pain points blocking everyone's self-actualization, blocking community self-determination, anywhere you look, anywhere we look. So can we look around and see people who are already working to make change, and can we go and stand beside them as peers and not as leaders?
Well, thank you very much. Well, do you want to? No? Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for this panel. Liz, Max, Andrea, thank you very much. It's been very, very interesting. Please say goodbye with a round of applause to this panel. Thank you. Gracias. Vamos a seguir con otro panel. Sí, déjalo aquí, ¿no? Por favor. Muchas gracias. Ya, es muy rápido. Gracias. Thank you very much, Liz. Now we're going to proceed with the actually, we're going to start with a video, right?
Hola a todos. Me llamo Adam Stone y me siento muy agradecido a estar aquí en la ciudad hermosa de Puebla y tener la oportunidad de compartir este proyecto con ustedes. Gracias. Hace 2 días yo vi las bibliotecas y las iglesias increíbles en el Zócalo y la vista desde la cima de la pirámide me impresionó muchísimo. Entonces, a mí me encanta aprender sobre su cultura y gracias por todo su hospitalidad. Gracias.
Thank you, Adam. We're going to start with a video from Peter Gabriel. Some of you that lived during 80s and 90s might remember him as an awesome singer. Please.
Yes, maybe I'll do a little bit of an introduction that Neil asked me to do, and he promised not to interrupt me on stage this time, so we'll see how that goes. Delighted to be back here. A long time ago, Peter came to Neil asking how he could talk to elephants. Is that what it was? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here, sorry. Long story short, Neil and Peter Gabriel and a lot of other people, and you should look this up, they started a project called the Interspecies Project. Extremely interesting project, has been running for a long time now. But a while ago, Peter made a new song called Panopticom, and I invite you to go and listen to that. It's a beautiful song. But what the song is about never happened. So Peter came to Neil and said, can we make this happen? And so Neil said, I have this crazy community of makers and of people. Let's see who can work with this on you. So that's the long history sort of going back for this. So first we're going to hear from the best person to talk about this, Peter Gabriel, what this actually is about. Then I'll give you a little bit of history of how it was built, mainly by the amazing Adam Stone, who's right here next to me. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the ideas for the future. So without further ado, we should have audio.
Hi everybody, this is Peter Gabriel in the wild west of England, and it's a little dark, overcast and raining. I don't think it's going to be like that where you are. But I feel very grateful that you have allowed me into your Fab Lab conference. And our project here for Panopticom is something that we'd love to get your involvement and your feedback on. The dream is to make the world much more visible to the world, to create a second skin to the world into which people can upload their own experiences and identify patterns from all the data streams coming from all over the place. And I'm sure you're going to devise a whole lot more uses if we can create this open source platform. Panopticom should be a home for all sorts of data, and there should be a way of making it indelible so that people's experience can never be forgotten, denied, or buried. But it could also be where you fell in love, where you were born, where you're working, where you've traveled to. So there'd be different ways of navigating it. But, information so far is often given out alphabetically or on a timeline or geographically. And this really is the sort of geographical way of putting it all together. And we're trying to look at different bits of different data and work with different entities that have a lot of data that is geolocated and put it out for the world to see it as it changes. So hopefully there would be a slice of the globe that may be probably on your phone, but maybe there's a physical one too that you can roll, not only roll it around to get to different points on the surface, but also roll it in time so that you could see how the Amazon has changed over 100 years, how glaciers have shrunk over 50 years, what's been happening in Israel-Palestine since 1948, for example. But then within that, and the context of those, you could have the personal experiences, the stories, and the videos uploaded from those people who knew and were party to what was going on, with different opinions expressed, but hopefully with an intention of finding meeting points and consensus and collaboration. So once we have our time machine where we can roll backwards, maybe we can also roll it forwards into the future and take people's thoughts and hopes and fears maybe of the future and consequences of actions, so we can see them played out on our very own home, the only home that is likely to be able to support all of us, which is this planet. One of the things I've always found truly amazing is how things are connected. You pull a piece of gold out of someone's tooth and discover that it came from another part of the universe. Almost anything that exists, or issue, or person, you can pull them out, and if you pull them out far enough, you'll see that there's a web, a net of connections. And hopefully we can find a way of illustrating some of these in this virtual skin to the world. So I think there's 1,000 opportunities, and we can hopefully start seeing the connections and seeing it more as a whole, and that perhaps we can become the eyes, the ears, the brain of the planet, each of us with our own eyes, ears, and phone, maybe becoming like a cell in this planetary brain that may wake up, feel pain, and find a way to survive. Anyway, It'll be a fun and interesting and exciting journey, and I hope we can make something like this happen. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you become a part of this, and a special thank you to Neil Gershenfeld for giving me this platform, and to the Fab Labs team, many of whom have helped this already, but particularly Adam Stone has been working amazingly hard, and Jean-Michel Molina. Thank you all, and I hope to get to meet a lot more of you soon. Hi.
So Peter's vision is a beautiful vision of a beautiful artist, and it's very broad and it's very deep, and so we would love all your help to work on this. To get a little bit more into the vision, he really likes to see the opportunity to sort of interact with this platform in 4 ways, right? So to look at the data, see the different layers, but also to hear information. So to listen maybe to personal stories, but maybe also to music or dances. To think about this. So how does the data relate? How does it relate to us? How does it relate to other data, to the things we do, to the things our communities are engaged in? And then what can we do? How can we act? How can we use this data that is visualized on a globe to improve our communities, maybe to weave us a little bit more together like the beautiful Peruvians just showed us how to do. So the idea here is to create a globe like you see here, where we can do all these 4 things together. And it has a lot of different data layers. So you've seen globes like this. There's Google Earth. There's all sorts of data visualizations for weather data, for global migration data and stuff like that. But as per our knowledge, there is no globe that overlays all these maybe unseemingly unrelated data sets. And that's what we're trying to do here. This doesn't come from nowhere. It's based on 2 things that we'll talk about briefly. The FMCU, or the Frankenstein Multi-Point Control Unit. Some of you might remember this one from MIT. And the Expert Network Map, which I'll let you in.
So the Expert Network Map is an interactive project I created and presented in Bhutan last year that shows connections between Fab Academy students who've referenced each other in their documentation and identifies expert documentation that students can then use to build off of to further their knowledge.
So Adam built this thing. If you look it up, it's absolutely amazing. Francisco, who's not here, and Thorarin, who also is not here, sadly, but wonderful people from the network built this thing, which I want to make clear is actually using data from fablabs.io, which is a platform we've discussed about a lot, and we are working on. And the FMCU was a data visualization, just for Fab Labs. These 2 things have been used to make the new version. So really the idea of the Panopticom is to have all these different data layers and to be able to overlay all these different data layers, going from personal stories to things like social justice, cultural things, but also about maybe the spread of viral diseases or migratory routes. Really all sorts of data sets that we would like to include here. And I implore you to also help us to think about this in all the ways that you can, and to help us find maybe more interesting data sets to add to this. And then now I think I'll hand it over to Adam for some actual demos of this.
Awesome. Thank you, Jean-Michel. So a big challenge with this project is being able to visualize all really different kinds of data sets into a single global visualization in a way that's easy to navigate and allows users to gain insight from. The data can range from anything to, on the micro level, individual stories, to art and dance and music around the world, all the way even to flows of knowledge across the globe in the Fab Labs network and countrywide sustainable development goals and indexes. And so to be able to create this, I structured the data sets like layers of information surrounding the globe and created a modular scaffolding so that it's really easy and scalable to add new data sets. So I'll show you what that looks like on the live site, and then I'll do a brief technical overview. So here's the live site. Let's first start with the layer of individual stories. Each individual story is represented by a strand of DNA that when you click on, you can see the details.
We also wanted to include layers of art to understand the culture in different areas around the world. We have 3 layers of music. These white cylinders coming out of the globe represent radio station density by geography. You can't hear right now, but at the end when you pull this up on your phone, you'll be able to. Wherever you scroll on the globe, a live stream of radio playing in that region right now will start playing using the Radio Garden API. And finally, these music notes on the globe represent AI-generated narrative summaries of the top 3 Billboard songs in each region and how they reflect the sentiment that people are feeling. It also rates the songs on a positivity score of 1 to 10, and the music note is a color that's an abstract representation of that music. So we have both user-generated and AI-generated narrative summaries to help people gain a better understanding of the world and to find patterns. We also have a layer of traditional dance around the world. For example, when you click on these little icons. It's also, we wanted to include layers of Fab Labs data. Every green dot on the globe represents a Fab Lab. And if you zoom out, you can see these arcs appear across the globe. Every arc is a connection where a student in one Fab Lab is referencing the documentation of a student in another Fab Lab, pulled data from the expert network map. This allows us to actually visualize the flow of information between Fab Labs all across the world. You can see this on a macro level, seeing how all these arcs are flowing, and then hover over an individual arc to see the details of what labs it's going between and how many connections. The colors correspond to a subject area, like 3D printing or molding and casting, and the length of an arc represents how many students are connected between those labs. Then so we had the individual stories, then art and culture around the world, up to the flow of information across the globe. If we zoom out even more, we can see the Sustainable Development Goal country indexes. So for example, here we have World Bank data of gender inequality across the world. The closer countries are to the Earth, and the more red they are, the lower they scored on that metric. And so now let's take a look. First off, for this visualization to be useful, people need to be able to see all of these global layers through their personal lens and filter what they want to focus on. So we created this menu interface here where you can, first there's a solo button where you can select if I want to focus in on one specific layer, for example, Fab Labs or individual stories. And you can use these tick marks on the side to overlay certain data sets and find new patterns in them. Great, so now let's go to a technical overview. So I structured the project where each data set is a JSON list file that contains objects with a set JSON specification that can, allowing it to making it really easy and scalable to add new data sets. Each JSON object consists of attributes depending on the data type, like how high it is above the globe, the color, click behavior, and hover details, and more. And there's, on top of just this document that explains what the specification is, there's an actual JSON schema file that you can use an online validator to make sure a data set that you're creating is able to conform to this standard. The vision is that in the future, people will be able to create their own data sets and then upload them to a directory that'll automatically populate onto the globe. And you can come to a technical deep dive at 1600 today, where we'll get to dive more into the code, and you can even create your own data set and upload it. You may think there's a problem where having all these thousands of data points rendered as 3D objects becomes really intensive to continually reload them. And so the backend keeps track of which specific objects in the JSON files need to be reloaded when you're zooming in and out or changing the filters, and which do not, to optimize performance. And finally, the way I thought about the individual stories in the JSON schema is it's all written in Markdown syntax and HTML. So it's compiled to HTML, giving you endless possibility to include images, videos, links, bold and italic text, or different size headings in a way that's still modular and easy to build off of. So now, this is what we have working right now. We're able to see all these different layers on the globe and filter them to gain an understanding through our personal lens. But in the future, we see this taken a step further, where you can see cause and effect and the impact that different layers have on other layers or across geographies. And so I'd like to share a video that shows an example of a use case that we imagine this working with in the future. Let's say I happen to be a professor in Massachusetts, and I come across this news headline, which makes me want to learn more about what kind of impact the glaciers melting in Iceland has on other countries and people. I can open the Panopticom and navigate to the glaciers data layer. Then zoom in to specifically focus on Iceland. I'm able to see the macro trends over time on a nationwide scope, as well as focus on a specific ice cap and compare the past with the present on a micro scale with my own eyes. But I wonder, what impact does this melting glacier have on other parts of the world beyond this news headline, even down to the individual level? I can focus solely on the glacier impact layer to see the international effect of melting glaciers. Let's say I want to delve into the impact in Bangladesh. I see that flooding due to the melting glaciers has caused a lot of other local impacts, and I want to understand the social impact. Each different color of DNA represents different types of personal stories. I'll click red to understand a story that has to do with social justice and gender inequality. Then I can read and see the story of how women in Bangladesh became impoverished when flooding caused by melting glaciers in Iceland destroyed their homes. They began making nakshi kantha, a traditional embroidered quilt, to be sold internationally as a business venture to lift themselves out of poverty. I would never have known that a melting glacier in Iceland as a result of climate change spurred the creation of beautiful art in Bangladesh. I really can find a connection to these big headlines on an interpersonal level through the interconnectivity of macro trends and personal stories. And so the Panopticom will touch on both heavy subjects such as climate change, but we also wanted to end on a positive note in seeing the beauty and humor in the world. So why don't we take a look at some jokes and how humor varies in different areas around the globe. First, let's go to Bangladesh. If you can't read that in the back, can you raise your hand? Okay, I'll read it out. Why do ducks have webbed feet? To stamp out fires. Why do elephants have flat feet? To stamp out burning ducks. How about we go to Mexico? ¿Cuál es el colmo de un pastor? Contar a sus ovejas y quedarse dormido. What's the worst thing that can happen to a shepherd while falling asleep while counting his sheep? Wonderful. So why don't we, now I'll give you the QR code. You can explore this on your phones. The URL, if you want to type it in, is Panopticom, Panopticom, .fabcloud, FAB24.io. Make sure to come to our session later if you want to give your input on what you see as potential future use cases and visions for the project, as well as what might be potential dangers or misuses. And we'll do a deep dive into the code, and you'll be able to make your own data set using the JSON schema. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adam, could you remind us the session today?
Oh, sorry.
I just want to make sure that we're going to be in room J100 at 4 o'clock this afternoon. How big is the room? Who wants to come? Show of hands. A lot of people want to come.
It holds about 30 people.
We'll be fine. Please join us. We'll look more into Adam's amazing work, but we'll also be very happy to see data sets you might want to add, or also things that maybe you think you're scared about when we do this kind of stuff. So please come and join us at 4 to talk more about this.
Thank you very much. Well, we end this session. Thank you very much for being here, and we are ready to launch. Thank you.